After a mission goes terribly wrong, mercenary Tyler is left with severe injuries and a serious concussion. He falls off a bridge into a river, and everyone believes he has died. But the river carries him safely to shore, where a young girl finds him and quickly calls for help. Tyler is rushed to a hospital, where his fellow mercenaries, Nick and his sister Naz, take charge of his care. Tyler is in critical condition and barely alive. Naz believes they should let him go, but Nick refuses to give up on him. For several weeks, Tyler remains unconscious while nurses care for him. He eventually wakes up, but his body is still badly damaged. Meanwhile, in Georgia, gangster Zurab learns from his partner, Avtandil, that his brother David has been given an extra 10 years in prison. Furious, Zurab contacts the governor who approved the sentence. The governor explains that the Americans have too much influence, leaving him with little power to change the decision. The governor offers a compromise by promising to transfer David to an American prison. Zurab is insulted by the offer and reminds the governor that he was the one who helped put him in power. He then kills the governor. Back in Austria, Nick and Naz take Tyler to a hidden cabin deep in the forest. They have already moved in his belongings, including his beloved old dog, giving him a chance to finally enjoy a peaceful retirement. At the same time, David watches a prison fight, but he can't enjoy it because he's worried about his longer sentence and what it means for his future. Later, he reunites with his wife, Ketavan, and their children, Sandro and Nina, who are forced to stay in prison with him. Ketavan fears that raising their children in such a violent environment will ruin their lives. David disagrees, insisting that Sandro needs to grow up in hardship to become strong. Ketavan argues that she doesn't want her children to grow up as criminals. After David leaves, Ketavan breaks down in tears, and Sandro wakes up to comfort his mother. Some time later, Tyler returns to his cabin and finds a mysterious man named Alcott waiting for him. Alcott somehow knows Tyler's secret location, his true identity, and everything about his past missions. Alcott offers Tyler a new mission. Ketavan is actually the sister of Tyler's ex-wife, Mia, and she and her children need to be rescued from prison. David and Zurab are leaders of a ruthless gang called the Nagatsi. The brothers grew up during their country's civil war, turning them into violent and fearless criminals. Their gang sees itself as one big family, and they will stop at nothing to protect their own. Without hesitation, Tyler accepts the mission and contacts Nick and Naz for backup. He immediately begins training to get his body back into fighting shape. Once Tyler is ready, the three of them travel to a prison in Georgia. A bribed prison guard secretly helps them by leaving small drawings on the walls to guide Tyler and disabling the security cameras. While Nick and Naz wait outside, Tyler slips inside the prison. Using a flashlight and carefully following the hidden markings, Tyler quietly makes his way through the prison until he reaches Ketavan's cell, where she has been waiting for him. David wakes up and sees his family escaping. He lets out a loud whistle, signaling all the prisoners loyal to him to start a riot. Tyler leads the family toward a stairwell and breaks through a locked door, giving them access to an abandoned hallway. Unfortunately, they end up trapped inside another cell block surrounded by violent inmates, and a brutal fight breaks out. Tyler takes on several prisoners at once. With no time to waste, the group continues running through the prison as chaos spreads in every direction. Tyler discovers an underground passage leading to a ceiling hatch. He helps the children climb through the opening so they can escape outside and meet up with Nick. But before Tyler and Ketavan can follow, David catches up to them and launches a vicious attack. David quickly knocks Ketavan to the ground, leaving Tyler to face him alone. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight, and finally ends the fight by stabbing him. During the evacuation, Nina injures her hand. The group rushes into a nearby factory and makes their way onto a moving train waiting to take them out of Georgia. As the train pulls away, more Nagatsi fighters arrive in helicopters. Tyler climbs onto the roof of the train to battle the second helicopter. At the same time, several Nagatsi soldiers jump onto the train. Nick fights them in a brutal mix of gunfire and hand-to-hand combat, killing every attacker, though she is wounded during the battle. After the battle, Tyler checks on Nick and is relieved to find that she's still alive despite her injuries. Meanwhile, Zurab and Atanda learn that David has been killed. After hearing the details, Zurab realizes that his brother wasn't taken down by a rival gang but by someone far more skilled. Filled with grief and rage, Zurab vows to hunt down whoever killed his brother. Soon after, the group escapes by boat and boards a plane. During the flight, Naz contacts people who can create new identities and fake documents for the family. She leaves her phone unattended for a moment, giving Sandro the chance to steal it. Sandro sneaks into the bathroom and secretly calls Zurab, hoping to learn the truth. Instead, Zurab manipulates the boy by claiming that Ketavan is the real villain. He convinces Sandro to reveal where the group is heading, unknowingly putting everyone in danger. A few hours later, the team arrives in Austria and hides inside a hotel. Meanwhile, Zurab gathers the Nagatsi gang and reminds them that family is everything. A helicopter appears above the hotel as Nagatsi vehicles surround the building. Tyler immediately orders everyone to evacuate. Ketavan discovers that Sandro has also been texting Zurab, planning to meet him later. Sandro insists that the Nagatsi are his real family, but before the argument can continue, the helicopter opens fire, blasting out the hotel windows. Meanwhile, Nagatsi fighters land on the roof while others attack from the streets below. Their escape is cut short when Nagatsi vehicles block the exit and unleash a hail of bullets, forcing them to stop. Sandro reaches the street, where Zurab is waiting for him. Before Sandro can decide, Nick arrives in another vehicle, but the Nagatsi destroy it with a rocket launcher. Using the explosion as cover, Zurab grabs Sandro and speeds away. Elsewhere, Sandro sits inside a hidden vehicle, worried about his mother. On the hotel rooftop, Nick and Naz attempt to reach the rescue helicopter sent by their allies, only to discover that the landing zone is already surrounded by Nagatsi fighters. Tyler continues fighting through wave after wave of enemy soldiers. Although he manages to take them down, he suffers several serious injuries in the process. On the rooftop, Nick is also badly wounded. During the fight, she crashes through a glass roof with one of the attackers. Tyler sees Nick's desperate situation. He dives through a window and grabs her just before she falls. Tyler uses the opportunity to pull Nick through a nearby window, allowing her to reunite with Ketavan, Nina, and Naz. A short time later, the survivors return to Tyler's cabin. Soon after, an unexpected visitor arrives, his ex-wife, Mia. The two sisters, Mia and Ketavan, share an emotional reunion before Mia finally sits down to speak with Tyler. Tyler sincerely apologizes for leaving Mia and their son behind when the boy was seriously ill. He admits that he left because he couldn't accept the fact that he couldn't save his son, and watching him slowly die was more pain than he could bear. A few hours later, Tyler receives a phone call from Zurab. Zurab proposes one final meeting at the airfield near St. George's Church, claiming he wants to negotiate. Tyler agrees, but he has no intention of making peace. Ignoring Nick's warnings, he heavily arms himself and heads to the meeting alone. Tyler quietly sneaks into the airfield, taking out several guards before destroying Zurab's private plane. As Zurab escapes with Sandro, Tyler fights his way across the airfield, blowing up vehicles and eliminating every enemy that stands in his path. He follows Zurab to the church, where he discovers it was all a trap. Zurab has strapped explosives to Sandro's body and holds the remote control, preventing Tyler from shooting. Zurab orders Sandro to take Tyler's gun and kill him to avenge David's death. Terrified and overwhelmed with guilt, Sandro freezes. Just as Zurab prepares to pull the trigger himself, Nick suddenly enters through the back of the church to help. Zurab grabs Sandro and uses him as a human shield, forcing Nick to lower her weapon. Tyler quietly signals Sandro, who courageously snatches the detonator from Zurab's hand and breaks free. Tyler tackles Zurab to the ground, and the two men begin one final brutal fight. They use anything they can find inside the church as weapons, smashing each other into walls, furniture, and stone pillars. While they fight, Sandro removes the explosives from his body and gives the remote to Nick, who successfully deactivates the bombs. The battle continues with neither man willing to give up. After taking countless punches and suffering painful injuries, Tyler finally ends the fight by picking up a gun and shooting Zurab in the head. As soon as the fight is over, Tyler rushes to check on Nick. Before they can escape, Austrian police storm the church and arrest everyone involved. Several days later, Tyler and Nick are both in prison, where Nick receives proper medical treatment for her injuries. One afternoon, Mia visits Tyler and tells him that Ketavan and her children have entered witness protection after helping the authorities. She also shares something Tyler has wanted to hear for years: his son's final memory wasn't of his father abandoning him. Instead, he remembered Tyler leaving to fight for others, believing his father was a hero. In fact, his son had always wanted to grow up and be just like him. Some time later, Tyler is placed inside a vehicle that appears to be taking him to another prison. Instead, he discovers Alcott waiting for him. Alcott offers Tyler his freedom in exchange for accepting another dangerous mission. Tyler hesitates at first, but the moment Alcott promises to free Nick as well, he agrees, setting the stage for his next mission. In the end, this movie proves that the hardest battles aren't always fought on the battlefield, they're fought inside ourselves. Tyler risks everything to save a family, but his biggest challenge is facing the guilt and regrets he's carried for years. Even after losing friends and suffering life-threatening injuries, he refuses to quit because he knows some people are worth fighting for. The ending also reminds us that redemption is possible, no matter how many mistakes we've made. And with Tyler accepting one more mission, it's clear that his story is far from over.